Let me know if you can hear me on this one. Hold on, Emma. Hopefully that kicked it back in over here. Yeah, okay. Now the mic should be running both sides. So, name of the game here, we want more subs. We're going to increase the channel. That's the best way, best thing we can do to get this in front of more people, more eyes. So we're going to be running live streams, right? As the algorithm changes, we change with it. We adapt to what we can do, what we can push, right? So again, if you're new here, like, jump in the chat so we know it's real, so I can actually hear you back and forth. So one of the things that we were talking about was how the left, what they kind of did with when it came down to the red pill. They saw that men, especially young men, move from the left to the right. And once they bounced, people were left and saying, well, what's supposed to happen? What are we supposed to do now, right? And it wasn't until the election happened that they saw in droves, yeah, you keep routinely losing young voters, or young male voters in this case. And a very easy thing to do is to what the liberal left does, kind of blame, right? Every political party just blame. But in that blaming, what you ended up doing is not really addressing the heart of the issue. And it's easy to say, this is what they got wrong. This is what's wrong with America. This is why we don't have, this is why we can't have nice things. But now you want to come back and say, yo, how can I get these people here? How can I grab these voters? Well, what the speaker was saying, that, well, you kind of just vilified them. You didn't leave them a place to stay. You didn't leave them a place where they say, I can come home and say, it's good right here, right? You didn't have anything like that. So we're now, my point was, when you rip open this space and you look at the manosphere, you look at red pill, and it's very easy to see how things got co-opted, how people started looking at it and saying the worst of it, where it was just like, hey, here are the bad actors, and you can point them out depending what they were saying. They were saying something that was very, very counter to what we've already told ourselves for years about how relationships were supposed to go. We never talked about one of the core tenets of what the red pill and the manager were saying, that you should just be self-improving, right? Regardless of anything else that happens, you should be improving upon yourself. That should be the name of the game. Improve upon yourself, improve upon yourself, improve upon yourself. Doesn't really matter what happens after that. You have to get better. You have to get better. You have to get beat. That's probably just like a fundamental tenet that how men look at most of the world. Get beat or go home. That's all. Right? That's legitimately it. Dr. James. Yeah, let's appreciate the 100 Jules. Let's subscribe to the channel. This is what we're doing this for. We're trying to, grow this channel to where we can get one of those nifty YouTube plaques in a couple of years. We could throw that down. Oh yeah, you get best streams. All right. So we're cooking right now. So once you vilify, right, and this is what we already do. We do this quite often and very easily. We vilify whatever it is that we don't like. We don't really offer a solution. We just say it's bad. Right? We just say them bad, us good. And we often look at it and say it's the worst thing. It's Nazis, it's Nazi Germany, it's fascism, right? But what happens when these people have actually engaged with this thing for such a long time and they don't find that it's bad? They're like, wait, I don't see anything wrong with what's being said. When you look and say the manosphere is bad in total, what you forget, what you end up leaving out, is that a lot of people said, my life improved from this. That by looking at this and focusing on my life and saying, I've got to make myself better, you end up forgetting all the rest of these things. You discount everything people have been trying to build and trying to do for themselves. And it makes them look like, no, this is actually true. The way I've been operating, especially when it comes down, you've been dealing with women, you find out, yeah, I was wrong, right? I was wrong. The way I treated them, the way I was kind of moving, I had things wrong. It was me this entire time, right? I messed it up. So I think in an attempt to push women ahead, we didn't say we cut out men, but we just kind of stopped focusing on them. We stopped focusing on growth, and we made it seem like, yo, this is whatever, right? You guys would be all right. And then it was only years later that we realized, shit, we fucked up. Shit, we fucked up. This isn't really working. So now we're left with calling men out and saying, what are we supposed to do? How we help the boys? Now you have all these think pieces about what's wrong with the boys. How do we get men back into the fold? Well, we don't know now, right? We're kind of left out here. Like, what are we supposed to do? How are we supposed to make this happen? Um, yeah, men never, yeah, red pill rage. Yeah, that is a qualitative stance that a lot of people, when you're not ready for growth or you've not been properly sort of pushed, in the right direction, you find that rage and then you sit there, right? We all go through it, and that rage, once you actually go through it, you find that rage is really directed at yourself. And you feel like, yo, I didn't fucking know this shit. I didn't know that I was supposed to, like, yo, I could have took a step back from this, right? I could have stuck back. Like, what was I thinking this entire time? These things seem obvious. For men, it's very much easier for us to focus our rage outward rather than look and say, damn, I messed something up. Right? What's going on for Senegal, right? Listen, subscribe to the channel, right? That's what we do in the streams. We're going to try to do a lot more. This is the best way to build this thing up. So when we end up angry, it's very easy to take that anger, divert it, and put it here, right? And it's very easy now to monetize someone once they're angry. Hey, I know why you're angry. No one is telling you this. I got the secrets. And by the way, I can make you rich. Hey, I can also make you rich, but you got to buy this course. How much is the course? Just $15,000, right? Just a smooth $15,000. That's all you need to do. You pay this and you'll be good. So this is when people get sort of lost. They thinking that these are going to have all the answers. This is how it's going to be so simple. And then they show you everything that you wanted to see. You see the most expensive cars, you see the most beautiful women, and you see these men just swimming in all this attention. And you're like, yo, I want that. I want that. And these are the guys telling me for the first time, right? The easiest con. These guys are lying to you. I got the answers. Boom. And then you buy a hook, line, and sinker. And then it's so easy to keep you in that rage sort of filled cycle. Because if the truth was, if you were doing the work, right, which anyone that's saying, I'm trying to help you through this process, anyone that's telling you need to do the work is going to tell you you need to get over that rage, right? A lot of people just sick of the politics, messes things up. Yeah, yeah, politics. Yeah, man. I get exactly what you mean. You feel like there's no real decision. There's no real party, that it's all games, it's all political theater, and what does it, sort of matter? I got you, dog. I get that. I really get that. What the best thing you can do is just make informed decisions, and also know none of these companies, none of these corporations, none of the federal government, no one's loyal. You got to make sure you're doing what is good for you and your family. Full stop. That's the best thing you can do. What is good for you and your family. Because no one else is going to out here be really looking out for you. They're going to say everything you need to say. They're going to grift you the same way you people got grifted in the red pill. They're going to grift you in the same sort of ways. All right. And if you pay attention, if you're looking at a little content, and like, unfortunately, some parts, the downside of this job is I got to swim through a lot of content. It would be super helpful, maybe in the future, this channel gets bigger, we can have people just funneling stuff to the email where say, yeah, okay, I can react to these things. But for now, I got to swim in it. The same way men were radicalized, is the same way they're radicalizing women now. I have this clip that I'll probably post in a couple of days, where a young woman is saying, does anyone else feel like, yo, I'm just upset at men all the time? What's going on? Listen, on your way in, like the stream, subscribe to the channel. That's what we're doing we should, maybe we can set like a little goal or something. Yeah. So it's the same way they're radicalizing women, in the very same way. They're making it seem to them as this is the most important thing, that men are evil. They're the root cause of why you aren't where you want to be. Once you do that, it becomes very easy, right? Very easy, just to make it seem like none of this is important. And if you can only solve for X, you'd be fine. If I can only get men in line, I'd be fine. I'd be good. That's the problem. That's where I want to be. want to see, is it does, if anyone knows if it's possible to set like a subscriber goal for like the chats, let me know. I don't know if moderators could actually do that themselves, but like I said, we're trying to figure out what we can figure out with some of these things, and uh, I'm guilty of analysis paralysis. I'll look things up all the time, trying to figure stuff out. What's going on from Kingston? I've been to Kingston once or twice. Some little red stripe. I was there during like an election, and you guys election night, you guys stopped serving alcohol, so we had to wait till midnight. Shots going off in there, but I mean, if you've never been, guys, go enjoy it. But listen, if you're new here, like, subscribe to the channel. We're trying to get something like, I want to be ambitious, say we get like 20 new subscribers. That would be fantastic. Yeah, man, hop back in if you got the time. We're gonna try to do a little bit more of this. So right now you see the same thing. Women are being radicalized in the same sort of ways. Look like a dreamy fool. I appreciate that. But subscribe to the channel. Listen, what's going on? If you're jumping in, again, like, subscribe. So right now we're radicalizing women online. All your problems are kind of just at, maybe we're not going to say it's the feet of men, but we're going to say it's definitely the patriarchy. I think at the main point, we also say sweep around your own front door. I like that. I'm sure just say first remove the beam in your eye before. Yes, yes. No, this is fantastic. This is fantastic. Yeah, this is exactly the issue, right? It's very easy to point the finger and say, I can't find a job because of patriarchy, right? Or one of the probably closer on brand for the quote is saying that, well, men made the patriarchy, yet they can't seem to get it together. Yeah, the very real thing is the patriarchy was made for a very small few people, very small subset of people. They're the ones that are purveyors of it, that actually do well because of it. Not the rest of us. We're out here laboring under things just like everyone else. We're struggling just like everyone else, but you make it work, you make it happen, and you keep it pushing, right? But the truth is, it doesn't matter. Just the same way with red pill rage, it does not matter, right? When we're saying in the most innocent of contexts is where you're not actually going out and you're trying to harm someone. We're saying in the context that you believe these things to be true, you believe them to be what it is. That you don't go out there to harm someone else because you're so angry with the way the status of your life. That it doesn't matter how angry you are, it doesn't matter how radicalized you are as a woman. It's not going to change the fact of where things are right now for you. That's it, right? That's a real unfortunate point. It's not going to change where you are. We can be as mad with each other as we want to be. We want to scream and shout, let it all out about how terrible things are. But the reality is, it doesn't change the name of the game, right? It doesn't change anything. You're still kind of just stuck where you are. When you have listened to society, right? And you listen to the societal dream, you got the degrees. You've done that sort of work. And we promise you a job. We promise you a whole career. What happens when you get to the end outside of that? And we turn out like, yeah, damn, we lied about that, right? We lied. We thought we had things figured out, but things change. Society changes. Economy changes. Now we just saddled you with debt and we say, yo, keep it pushing. Good luck. Hopefully you can make sense of it. And then we turn our eye and we say, also go back to work. So you become, just kind of like a wage slave. This is what the especially Gen Z is dealing with. They're going to be, I think they're on track to being the first generation to not do better than the previous. And as a millennial, I thought we were all supposed to set the bar high. I thought we were all supposed to try to do better. And whatever's left is whatever's left. But, what's going on from Israel? But what is left, I hope you guys are safe over there. But what is left is kind of what is left. We're now aging out of the dating game. I've said this on a couple of different streams. We end up being the parents in Footloose and Dirty Dancing. We're the ones saying you guys shouldn't be gyrating your hips. You guys shouldn't be dancing so close. That's the devil music. But in truth, we just have to sit back and kind of observe how things end up going. Will it be better? We hope so. But we're watching, we've seen, yeah, things don't look that way. Listen, if you're new here, subscribe to the channel, hit that like button. I'll consider donating. These things help. These things help. These things help. Um, so this is just like it's just kind of the name of the game. It's there's not much we can do outside of just observing it and probably trying to come in and say our 2 cents. Like, yo, hope things get a little better. Hope things sort of work out here, 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 here. Um, but listen, it's a nasty part of the game, and we can just keep going and hope things change. Right? So one of the streams, one of the videos I was watching was the 20, not the 20, the counterpoint video where they were talking about I think they were asking, I think there was one millennial in it, and the rest was Gen Z, and they were asking them poignant questions just about dating today, if it's harder for men or if it's harder for women. I think it's, if I'm objectively a three, is it trying to, what are you looking for as a three, as an objective three? What are you looking for? That's the case, because it's one of the things that we as men can be guilty for. We look and we say, kind of, I want the cream of the crop, right? I want the IG baddie that is going to do unspeakable things in the UAE for money. We want that. But the beautiful thing about being a man and is that women don't just necessarily judge you by your looks. You just got to be rich, right? Yeah, yeah, that's it. You've got to do and the game is laid out for you. The game is absolutely laid out for you how to do better. When and this is again another video topic I was thinking about. When we look at and we call people high value. We talk about high value men. When women get sort of upset at that nomenclature, what we forget is that women have determined what is high value. They're the consumers of men. We're the consumers of women. The consumer has set what the trend is. They say this is what it is. So women have determined and said, these are the things that we value highly, right? And so you turning around and looking at us like when we prescribe to that, like we're somehow wrong for that. No, no, no. It's you guys have set the tone. Okay, this is what high value is, right? You wanted the six figures. You wanted someone well traveled, well spoken. You wanted someone with a six pack. You wanted someone that's over 6 feet. You set the tone. These are things, but looks are somewhere in there for women. You just have to knock a lot of these other things out the park. Being funny, being charismatic, that's one of going to be your best friends. If you can manage that, you're going to be in a much better place. But the worst thing you do is be an objective three and just kind of be like, whatever. Truth be told, if I was an objective three, I was making money, I go to Turkey, I get work done. Not the height, length, and surgeries. I want to do that because I've never seen one guy that did not look awkward walking after that. Yeah, there's always something you can improve. Always something to improve. You and the gym are going to be best friends. You're going to be absolute best friends. There's not much you can say or think about that. You got to be in the gym. You got to be working out. You got to be hitting that every day. You find a new challenge. Probably one of the best things that you could do. Right. This is the only advice my father gave me about women. I was 16 years old, and we were in high school. All my friends, they're getting their wee-wees touched by women. And I'm like, damn, I want that. I want to know what that is. I want to see what that's like. So I'm asking him. He's washing the dishes. We're sitting in the kitchen. I'm like, yeah, I know. I know you've had sex at least 3 times, right? I've got 2 siblings. I know you've had it at least 3 times. So put me on game. Let me know what's the secret, right? What I got to do? What's the secret strat? He said, just focus on your schoolwork. The women will come. I wanted to throw something at him, but ultimately that proved to kind of be the truth. When you sit there and you got a list of things that you're trying to work on, a list of stuff that you just got to sit there and pile through. You just get goal after goal after goal after goal. What usually ends up happening after the fact, people turn around and they're like, okay, I see your value now. When I was I'd be at work and I was working full time and I was in school full time. My little breaks, so little dead moments, is back when I was working TSA. I would take would have my, biology, have my psych books out, and I would just be reading during the lull times. And people started to see that. People looked at that and said, "Yo, that kind of started setting me apart to get into it." So again, this is one of the things you can do. It's it's not dark. Try a game. It is what it is. But so all the time, I'm a regular screener. I'm a regular Douglas screener. Blair can attest. I'm a regular Douglas screener, and I'm working the bag room, and I was only bag room. So if you're not familiar with TSA, you guys are familiar with TSA. If you've flown, you've been anywhere near airport, you know there is a baggage side. What's going on from Brazil? Subscribe to the channel on your way in. Hit that like button. It really helps the streams. Really helps the channel. Really helps us grow. So we can do more of these. So baggage. I'm baggage only, right? When I came in, I'm 19 years old when I came in. Dumb early, dumb young, but whatever. And people, they didn't have as much interaction because we were kind of just separated. But I was good at the job. I was screening. I was doing all this. We were a little isolated. And there's one shorty, one woman. I would ask her out routinely. It became like almost like a gag. Oh, when you gonna let me take you out? Right? When you gonna let me do this and that? And she would literally like kind of playfully throw her nose up in the air, like, "Yo, I don't really care. You don't have anything to offer me." If in the gym, money and still doesn't have success, in that scenario, would you try aggressive facial surgery to be worth it? I don't think you have to go that aggressive, but I would definitely, in part of that journey, definitely be like skincare, making. Yeah, I would do that. I think today all that should be on the table for you. All of that should be, as long as you did all the work before, and this doesn't become a crutch. So, like I said, I was not getting any type of play from her, nothing whatsoever. She was not feeling me. No, you know, to the point it was almost like now I'm dating myself, like Steve Urkel and Laura, trying to wear her down. Nothing seemed to matter until I got promoted. Until I got promoted, and I was running a checkpoint, and she was there. All of a sudden, now everyone wanted to realize, oh wow, who is this guy? And it wasn't like a significant promotion. It was just they knew there was a difference now. Not only was I promoted, now I was cross trained. Now I was in their side of it. I was checking passengers when they came in, but I was running the entire checkpoint. Now it seemed to matter. Now that you were something and somebody, and you had worth and you had merit, now they're like, okay, that's status. That's something different. That sets you apart. It wasn't that I was the most handsome there, not by far, not by far. But they look and say, he's moving differently. I think sometimes we got to give women a lot more credit when you open your eyes and you're in the real world, not the looks maxing world, right? And this is me saying, as a millennial, trying to give you advice. I don't know how old you are, but because it could be a completely different world the way things going today. But one of the easiest things you could see, one of the most real things, you just be out there and you would see, you don't. Women have always been way prettier than men, way prettier than men. So when you look and say like, well, why would you want to be with this guy? Yeah, it's probably some of these other things. He's funny. He's well connected. He has status. He has wealth. There's all these other things. When you look at some of the content that women are making today, they're straight up telling you, marrying for love ain't it. Right? They're straight up telling you, I'm not married for love. I'm not doing that. All right, cool. If that's the case, then yo, don't worry about it. Right? Don't even stress yourself about it. Get your money up, get yourself together, and then you'll find yourself in a better position. That's got to be the name of the game. That's got to be the name of the game for you. All right, let's. So we got this going over here.
Welcome to Counterpoint, where we've made it our mission to share conversations that are honest, unscripted, and grounded in real experience. We bring people with different perspectives to the same place for open debate and conversation. I'm your host, Ryan Price. And on today's episode, we have single men and single women. We now present to you Counterpoint. Nice guys finish last. We'll start by bringing up everyone that agrees now.
If you don't agree with this, just be wary of what is all over Netflix, propaganda on social media, etc. I mean, there's a reason why
So for those on this stream, the prompt right now we're talking about is do nice guys. And in my opinion, yeah, absolutely. I think we've all had the experience of being the nice guy and seeing sort of how that worked or really did not work. What are you supposed to do? What are you left with? How are you supposed to look at that? Um, those, let me give you guys the opportunity to bounce around if you are so interested. Yeah, we've been the nice guy, right? On this chat, you guys can follow this link. You want to listen in on the other stream where you can hear the video, hear and see the video. Right. So, but again, the name of the game here, I wanted to compare the streams and see the reach that was possible on either one. And if it's something that I believe ends up being sort of just negligible, then we can probably stick with, and right now they're four, no, it's not. It's, yeah, I think they're actually tied 4 for 4. Like a fast food deal, baby. So, but yeah, nice guys finished last. We've probably all defaulted, unless whatever reason some people had that bad boy gene in them, and they were just better off rip than most of us. But a lot of us already had that nice guy gene. That's how we were kind of rocking with from the word go. So what we end up kind of being left with is this weird sort of confusion on how we're supposed to play things, how things are supposed to go. We thought that if I did quote unquote the right thing, I'd get the right sort of results. Okay? She was supposed to fawn over me. She was supposed to realize I was the one. I was the best thing that could, ever happen to her. But, realities end up being being very different from anything like that. We end up seeing what the truth is. Like, nah, that doesn't mean she's feeling. That doesn't mean anything. Just because you said the right things, just because you adhered to these principles, quote unquote principles, doesn't mean that all of a sudden she's kicking it with you, she's feeling you. No, we just, it took some time before a lot of us realized we were lied to, and this is essentially that red pill rage. This is how men get into that spot, and they look and they feel like betrayed. They look and feel like, yo, why didn't anyone tell me? Why did I waste how much of my life, how much of my time? It gets worse when you get older and you witness a lot of these men that are in these marriage situations and are miserable, absolutely, absolutely miserable. Nice guys don't finish at all. Yeah, some of them don't have a shot at it. They end up just kind of being those, in not so colorful terms, those cucks that you just see. Like, I don't want to have a life like that. I don't want to live a life like that. I don't want to look at any time, at any given point in time, do I want to be that guy? But what we don't get, just like why the red pill was important to a lot of men, to a lot of generations, that is slow changes over time that end up having you lose yourself, having you find yourself in a position where it doesn't make any type of sense, and you just stuck. You just stuck. Maximum Jim, hella fit, being fit is still attractive. Yeah, maximize money, physical success. The wealthiest man in the world, visually ranked between 2 and 5. Facts. If you took a look at that Epstein list, you could see, yeah, there's money there. Once you have money, the world opens up to you in a disgusting way, apparently so. But yeah, money is going to be one of the probably the greatest equalizers in this in this game. You don't listen to anyone that says money's money's the root of evil. The chase of money is the root of all evil, and sometimes the lack of money can be the thing that's adjacent to the root of all evil. But you want to have options. You want optionality. You're going to need money. You want to secure a life for your family. You're going to need money. You want to secure a life just for your damn self. You're going to need money. It's not wrong to need to understand, to internalize that. It's stupid to think that you're just going to be exempt for it, or that you're going to get to live the life of a monk. And even monks are subsidized. right? Even the poor clergy are subsidized. So it's not a thing that I think we should be aspiring to. It's something that we should be cognizant of and understand. Hey, you're gonna need more. You're gonna need to be able to do something with this.
Majority of the women watch like movies like or shows like The Vampire Diaries, and they're obsessed with the bad guy Damon, and then Damon becomes good, and now they're all back on Stefan because he's the bad guy. I mean, it is literally a term that is known and thrown around society today and has been around for years on years. I mean, perfect example is like, I have a couple guys that they're just extremely good gentlemen, treat their, they court their women, they take care of them, and the woman could just throw it right in their face like, yeah, sorry, you're too nice for me. And then they just leave them, so.
I feel like he kind of just said all of it, to be real. I mean, I feel like in a couple times in my experience that's happened where I've been nice to a girl and then like, obviously like she passed me up for some dude who was like just trash, and like you chalk it up to the game. But like I've also had friends who have been in the same situation. So I feel like if it hasn't happened to you, you at least know somebody that it's happened to. So I do think it's a real thing.
I'm assuming the question is nice guys as in the guys on social media that whine about, oh, I'm such a good guy, I don't understand why no girl wants me. They do. They do finish last, but
So let's understand. Sometimes you get this distinction, and this is when I say sometimes men are still kind of caught up in that older ideology, and not by ideology do I mean just like red pill, blue pill, purple pill, black pill. I mean some guys still ascribe to the idea that right now, like we're trying to redefine what it means to be, or we're trying to put context on good guy. And trying to say like it means something else, like a good guy's actually not a good guy, a good guy's not a genuine guy, a good guy's a bad guy. We're in this weird sort of place where we're trying to redefine what it means. When we say good, we mean genuinely innocent guy trying to do the right thing, just who's being probably more simpish than he needs to be, and he's being, trying to think that by doing this, by behaving like this, I'm going to get her attention, that I'm going to nice guy the way into her life, her love. That doesn't really happen, right? That's the truth of it. That doesn't really happen. In reality, you end up being exactly where you are, kind of just stuck, forever hoping, forever waiting, forever thinking that if I do the right thing, she's gonna F with me. And this is probably the worst way you can end up trying to get with someone, that just by proxy, she's going to F with me. So when we say nice, we know what we mean by nice. When they say nice, we got to be careful and understand that they may be talking about something, with a complete different sort of context.
for good reason. They're usually not the best mates, if you know what I mean. They're obviously whining and crying for a reason.
Yeah, right. You sending stuff to dudes in prison. Dudes in prison, right? Dudes in prison getting love, like wild, right? And I saw a woman try to do the greatest justification for this. She was saying something like, it's because they think that guy, that serial killer, can protect them, right? In a sense, he could protect them. Therefore, and also because he's in prison, he also can't hurt her. And I'm like, yo, that is an interesting sort of take, an interesting end run trying to make sense of this thing. But no, but no. Yo, listen, Old Angry Boss. Now I appreciate it. Listen, if you subscribe, share the channel, like these things make the difference and make a world of difference. I think these lives are great ways to bring more people in, new people in to the fold, and we're going to try, we're going to try to do what we can and find the most appropriate methodology that works best for the people to actually find the channel, subscribe to the channel, and grow. I'm trying to see where we can take this, right? I want to see how big, how dope we can make this. Let me shut down this one, mobile one. If you're on the mobile side, jump on the link, because I think this one has a little more leg. And we're going to continue, especially because people can hear stuff. Yo, welcome back, Nick. Shout out to Nick. Again, name of the game here, subscribe to the channel. That's the best thing you do. If you want to donate, I appreciate that too. But really, subscribe, share. We're just trying to grow in that sort of way.
And like from what I see, not statistically, but from an anecdotal perspective, to kind of build up what you were saying, like the female fantasy is that guy who has that capacity for violence, that tameable monster kind of thing. We hear about that, I'm sure, on social media all the time. But I think those guys, they just haven't, either they are not tameable or they definitely just don't have that capacity for it. You know what I mean? They're those guys that like, yeah, oh, you can never hurt a fly. Well, that's not good, because sometimes you have to be strong. You have to be tough. One, life is hard, and two, if she wants to pick a mate, she's gonna want to pick a guy, like a traditional woman's gonna want to pick a guy that can defend her and her children that she might have one day. She's not gonna pick some guy who's keyboarding up, complaining about, oh, girls don't like me, it's because I'm 5'11". Well, I'm 5'10", and I can still talk to women. It's not that hard. Just because you're not 6 foot, you know, they're looking for that tough guy that is able to still be a gentleman. So yes, do nice guys finish last? The stereotypical kind, yes. Is it good that they finish last? Probably.
Okay.
I would argue too that majority of the time, like, we're not saying that good guys don't always finish last. It's just the simple fact that like that term exists. And a lot of the times, like, what comes to mind for me is like the term simp. Like that's our good guy.
Those are the good guys.
Definition in today's
Nice
society.
guys.
So a lot of the times women look at guys and they're like, I don't want to be like overly pedestalized by this man. You know, I want somebody that's individual and takes care of his needs and then can also bring me along and then take care of me as well.
And I think that's a great time to hear what the women think. And our women. Quickly, I'm gonna get our last gentleman's comment and then
good versus weak is what I was more referring to. When somebody says like the good guy finishes last, I don't necessarily agree with that. I think that the weak men finish last. I think that the people that aren't seen as being able to support her properly or be able to stand in a position, a relationship where, you know, she feels protected or comfortable or able to express herself the way that she wants to. And if you're going to sit there and be this good guy, what people think it's like more as this weak person who can't, you know, provide their end of the.
So listen, it doesn't matter about your height. It matters about your respect, kindness, communication. Yeah, I would agree with that to an extent, except we don't really know, or we weren't really taught properly how to communicate with women. We kind of find ourselves in a position where we're simply following behind them. We're following behind them. We're trying not to upset them. We're trying to feel as if I'm responsible, that you're responsible for their happiness. When she's upset and she, you know, conveys that to you in a way that leaves you sort of be like, wait, I'm not good enough to be responsible for my happiness, my own happiness, right? That fluctuates so much day to day, week to week, month to month, right? And also another person's. I can provide safe spaces. I can provide areas, provide arenas where you're good, where you feel comfortable, where you feel safe. But you are intrinsically, as a person, responsible for your happiness. I can only do so much to facilitate that. We got caught up in the thought that we have to, that it is our prerogative, it is our job to address that, to fix that, and it's just not, right? It's a difficult way to be running behind that. So the minute we have a better understanding of that and saying, no, I can be here for you while you deal with your emotions, but you essentially have to deal with those. That's not a bad thing. That's not a wrong thing. That's just understanding. It's a very human thing. Yeah, they definitely got pedantic on this. They were stretching it. Yeah. Yeah. Listen, there's gonna be more of that. That very same thing. They do a fantastic job of overcomplicating a lot of very simple concepts, very simple issues. I think it's. I saw like a bit of it. I think it's the quintessential thing that you don't want to upset upset women that are right there with you. But what you end up losing is the ability to actually have this conversation properly. If you can't communicate, you can't say, yes, no, that's wrong. No, that's mainly your feelings rather than anything I'm responsible for. then we end up kind of just stuck in the same back and forth.
Relationship is what I typically see. So, because I know a lot of quote unquote good people that are in that finish line of like what I want, and like in marriages, you know, they have kids, they have families, all these things. They're really great people, but they're not weak in the same sense too. So I guess I more so agree, but it's what is your definition of good guy?
Yeah, it's in the wording. Yeah, it makes sense. Okay, and just whoever would like to start over here.
I think I agree with what you guys said about putting a woman on a pedestal can kind of be a red flag. Past relationships, the nice guys in those, they did put me on a pedestal, and I feel like the lack of ambition for their own personal goals was a red flag. I'm a very ambitious person. I'm very career focused. I'm the youngest manager in my company and district manager. And so to have someone that settles for bare minimum, to me, that's a red flag. I have a lot of goals and dreams, and for someone that just kind of goes along with those but doesn't have their own, I think is a real turnoff for me. And I think that's what happened with those nice guys.
Okay, I feel like there's so many layers to the term nice guys finish last. For example, you'd mentioned like simp. I've actually never heard any.
So quickly, right? He was already like, we started with nice guy, and then what happened? It sounds good. He already became like, yo, simp, weak, right? When she's talking about, right, and it's not really difficult to understand or listen to what she's saying. She's talking about nice guys she has dated in the past. She's done them. Whenever we see a lot of this lately, right? Women talking about, well, I used to get X, Y, and Z. They used to do blah, blah, blah. My last boyfriend did X, Y, and Z. Therefore, somehow you're responsible for now keeping that up. Why aren't you with him? I'll wait. Right? Why are you with him? All that to me doesn't make any sense to me. You're not with him now. Despite all those great things about him, you still decided it's a no for me, dog. Right? Randy Jackson, it's a no for me.
Any woman around me refer to another man as a simp. I also reject the idea.
Hold on, Ryan. Last guys do finish last, form of simp here. The way to find yourself is through faith in Jesus Christ. Listen, yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. Subscribe to the channel, by the way.
Idea of needing like a super masculine man that's going to come and save me and be my knight in shining armor. Yes, I'll read romance books where there's a strong man, but is that something that I actually want? No. When I genuinely tend to think of like masculine men or like someone who's overtly extremely masculine, I think domestic violence. So all right.
It's like, Blair, you saw that, right? Just how quick you put the two together. If I'm thinking of a masculine, I don't immediately think strong equates domestic violence. I think strong. I think Marcus Aurelius, right? I think stoic. I think someone that hears a lot of this stuff, hears a lot of nonsense, and it doesn't affect their bottom line. It doesn't affect how they move. They understand this is the game. You feel like this, great, cool, whatever. Doesn't ruin my day. When I'm about to go, right? When I'm about to go out bowling, right? Blair and I, Blair was my best friend. We used to go bowling, and I forgot, Lucky Strikes was the name of the spot. And we both left like 3 hours because they had like all you can bowl for one price. 3 hours. The last thing you want to hear is, oh, you're going out again with black. Someone trying to make you feel bad and make you. No, you just say, cool, I'll be back. I'm still going to move the way I got to move, regardless of what you got to say. It's very revealing the way it makes a point. As you said, Vampire Diaries analogy. Yes. You immediately knew it was Vampire Diaries. Listen, the thing is, I saw another article where women, one of the things they were saying is why young women don't want to get married today. And they said it was the lack of romantic movies today. What type of reason are we going with here? Right? How does that make any sense? Because the portrayal, how important is advertising to women, that if this thing is not propagated in front of your face, if it's not pushed, then you kind of sway a different direction. And it's understandable if we look at it in that context. If we look at it in the sense of unfortunately, for whatever reason, our women are very highly suggestible when it comes down to advertising, when it comes down to media. If we hold that as true, we hold that as understanding that's the context, then we can understand why people today be like, "No, I don't want to do that." All right now, what is it's popular to victimhood is very popular because once you're a victim, you're innocent, right? You know, once you're a victim, you're completely innocent. That's what it means. Dog, what do you need help with? Yeah, once you're a victim, you're innocent, and no one can really touch you or address anything you have to say at that point. If you seriously need help, you know, outside of like 911, but if you got a question, let me know.
I tend to actually like a more of a feminine guy and a nicer guy, but like one of the guys here had said earlier, I think a lot of guys say, "Oh, I'm nice. Why don't I have a girlfriend?" If all you have to bring to the table is the fact that you're nice and nothing else outside of that, that's not enough for you to just like have a relationship. Like I've talked to nice guys. I would hope that my partner would eventually be a nice person, but because you are nice, you are somehow below the guys that are like pieces of shit. I don't believe that. I feel like the women that are attracted to that are attracted to the trauma of it all. And if you understand like how trauma plays in relationships, you'll understand that like, if you're a nice guy, look for a nice girl, not a girl that wants to go there with you. And I don't think it's true that nice guys finish last. Again, I think a lot of guys frame themselves as being nice guys and then they go, "I gave you food, why didn't you have sex with me?"
Yeah, there's a lot of nothing, right? I get that people pretend to be nice. And how to create a DDR5, a Dance Dance Revolution 5? No, I don't know how to do that. You have to donate for me to find that information for you. But she said a lot of the same things that we hear all the time, and then she obfuscated it with a lot of nothing. Nice guys, these are the simps. These are the ones, not the simps, but these are the dangerous ones that are simply pretending to be nice, pretending to care about you in order to get close to you, rather than, right? And this is the counterintuitive nature of the thing. You think if I was just being nice, I would get the sort of reaction I want from women. But I think the truth is, be yourself, right? Be yourself. Be interested in all the weird things that you're interested in. Have your own hobbies. Don't make her the center of attention. In fact, she should probably be somewhere fourth, right, in your list of priorities, things that you need to get done. That should not be your first thing. And it's hard to understand this when you're young, because those emotions, they're kicking your ass. The hormones are kicking your ass. It's a tag team. It's a Royal Rumble, and two of the last contenders looked at you and said, "This is the guy we got to beat the snuff out of." Right? It's difficult to navigate that, and you just kind of stuck. You're kind of stuck. But pedestalizing her, leaning into those feelings you have for her, that's not going to solve your problem. That's not going to be the thing, right? Yeah, that's not going to be the thing. Running is not always an option. Running in from her.
It's like, it's not really like, usually I feel like in most cases, it's just nice. There's usually like a devil tail hiding behind somewhere.
But I would argue in the sense of like what you stated, that majority of the men that are quote unquote feminine aren't looking to protect you in any like way, shape or form, in the sense that like, yeah, they might, in your opinion, like you might be traumatized from quote unquote masculine men, but when you're in danger, who's the first person that you call to come save you?
I called my blicky. So and this is funny because I was in a conversation, but I recently had to get a gun. I also, throughout media, we see time and time again, there was a little.
Your blicky's not going to help you in a fire, right? Your blicky's not going to help you in a fire. Those of you that do carry, you understand it's only as good as you are, as quick and as accurate as getting to that. And if someone is within that 21-foot range of you, yeah, you'd rather have a knife than a blicky that wasn't already out. So it's one of these things that it may make you feel good, right? It of course, you know, and this is easily one of my favorite ones. It sounds good, but you know, right? The nice guy is typically feminine, and we act somehow in these conversations that feminine guy cannot also commit DV, commit SA. If you're looking at it all an act, I think the larger context, larger contextual issues here is that women don't often want to realize or admit that this thing is transactional, right? that this relationship thing that we got going on is transactional. It all has its meaning, it all has its context. You cannot simply expect a man to be here and do whatever you want done, do whatever is important to you, as if he doesn't have a care or understanding or nothing is important to him. No, me interacting with you is because I want something from you, and it's fine to say that. It's just like it's fine to say that that you know, just like everyone else on this planet.
Hello,
no,
I like money.
That's fine to understand and say. To think that if I don't adhere to this ridiculous altruistic sort of standard, then somehow I'm a bad guy. No, I like you. I like the way you look. Physically, I'm kind of interested. What do I have to do to do that? Okay, I've got to talk to you. We've got to date. We've got to get to know each other. Along those lines, if both is looking for something long term and serious, that's how we get there. But thinking that a guy, he's bad, he's masculine, he's evil because he wants something from you. What do you want from a man? Right? What do you want from a man? Not even calling someone a gold digger. You want something from him when you meet him. That security, that loving, that provision, that protection. You want that. Why can't we exist and call both of these things out? It's fine just being like, yo, this is what it is. This is dating.
Girl that was recently kidnapped in Arkansas, and she was like 13 years old, and she asked the men, can you help me? Can you help me? She went to 2 different places. None of the men helped her. In most situations, I actually don't feel like men are our protectors. I feel like men are protective over things that they feel like they own. I don't genuinely feel like most men are just like, oh, I'm going to be a knight in shining armor. In fact, in most situations where I've had aggressive men speak to me in aggressive ways, the people that have stood out to me the most have they've been women for me. Like, I don't feel a sense of protection when men are around.
On record, I'm not protecting if I don't know you. I'm not protecting you if I don't know you. One, how many of us have witnessed how that turns around? Right? You sit there, you jump in, this couple that's fighting, and there's too many stories, right? There's too many stories. When you jump in, he turns around and he's got his hand on that blicky. You lost your life because you intervened. And what women like this don't often realize, and it's a very, very simple concept. I've got others I'm supposed to protect, others that I have an actual duty to. If we're looking in terms of a feudal system, I owe fealty to them. I'm responsible for their safety, their happiness. They've given the authority over them. I'm supposed to protect them. That's not my number one thing. Jumping into your scenario, which I don't know enough information about. I don't know you. I don't know your proclivities. I don't know what you're into. I don't know what's happening here. Understanding today, there becomes a very real danger that I have to accept in order to intercede on your behalf. I'm not saying it's not worth it. If I see you physically looking like you're going to be hurt, it's still a calculus. It's still a calculus. I don't owe you a duty to throw my life on the line in front of, jump on the wire, jump on the grenade because you're you. I don't. If you want to call it, sure, yeah, when we had that, we squandered that type of nature away. We squandered that type of world away. And we're left dealing with this. The longer you try to hold us to that standard, the sillier you look. The absolute first time was like, why are you here? Why are you in this danger? Why are you in this environment? The best part of protection is prevention. Don't be around here. Get out of here. What are you doing? But how many times? And I got a video of a woman. She was about to kick in the dude's door. That may be I think I'm saving it for when the crashing out video is coming up for the next live stream. She's kicking in his dude's door. He comes out. He nearly throws her over the stairway. And she's holding on to him for dear life, almost choking him. They start making out. They walk right back into the apartment together. Goddamn. You want to intercede on that? You want to jump in front of that? You want to jump in front of that?
Do you think society promotes that, though? Do you think the way that women, not just women, but I guess society in a whole, they discourage men from wanting to step in and protect and do all these other things because you see so many, I guess, downsides for when a guy steps in, the way that he does it or the way that he's protected somebody, society is blaming him for, doing it in an incorrect way or whatever it may be. What also kind of shines a light on that is the times that you do see when people call, like, you know, domestic violence situations, those, like, yeah, that guy's a man, he has testosterone, he's, you know, probably physically stronger than a lot of those people. That doesn't mean he's a strong man. Like, that's a weak dude that's sitting there causing violence and trauma onto certain people. But when you see a lot of society discourage men from being in, I guess, that traditional role of being a protector, that's probably why you see a lot of men not doing that now, is because they are discouraged to do so. And
that's where I get back to my point. That is a weak mindset in my opinion. If you feel like you are a protector, no matter who's saying if society's telling you, oh, you protected wrong, it wouldn't matter if your values were like in the fact that like you wanted to like protect people. I don't think society should have a way of shaming you into not believing in what you believe in. Because if you are able to be like maneuvered by society in a way like that, I don't think that's a deep core value you have. That's like something that people told you were a protector, people told you were a provider, and you built that mindset. And then you had a few women that were like, I don't actually want you to protect me. And now you're oh yeah, I'll just let the women on the subway get stabbed. Like,
Nah. That is not how it went at all. At all. Maybe she's too young to remember the absolute fervent craze that happened when Me Too happened, right? And again, we understand that they're bad actors, right? We get that. They're absolute bad actors. They're people that were abusing their position of power, doing absolute horrendous thing to men. The issue in why you kind of lost this protection is because you said we all were doing it. You threw stats in her face and said 1 out of 4 women on college campuses were going to be essayed, and you said you're all responsible for that. I never essayed anyone. Even in those times when, in my youth, if you're out there with a woman, you're enjoying yourself, and then she said something like, she's even like, "Yo, no, stop." Whatever reason, it's a full stop. It's a full stop, right? Pac-Man, we're done. And there's no resetting. Once that happens, I'm stopping and say, are you okay? Are you all right? I wasn't raised to sit there and take advantage of them. The issue is when this was happening, when we understood it happened, right? We weren't denying that it was happening, especially when very real context came out, very real clues came out. You said all men, right? You said all men. You said all of us. So when you put that on all of us as a collective, what do you think's supposed to happen? Damn! We all just said, all right, I got it. The best thing I can do. All right, right. And now let's also address the false accusations that came on top of that. The ones that had bad dates and said this was SA. This was another Me Too. Aziz Ansari was famous for that one when he had a woman come over. And it was just a bad date, bad experience. And she was like, he did this. She typed it up truthfully about what happened. And people were like, that's not what this is. This almost hive mind sort of acceptance we want to jump on to be the same, to support, like women want to support each other. That's commendable, but it's only commendable when it's the truth. When we're addressing something, we're like, yo, yes, this happened. Solidarity, we get that. That's fine. I won't take away from that. But when someone is not telling the truth, when you have a system that says believe all women, okay, it doesn't matter if she's telling the truth or not. When you have women on record saying, I'm just going to do this because I'm upset at him. And by this, I mean, accuse him of this, get the police involved. Again, on record. We make it seem like, oh, why the men, it's just something that he was just a good guy. He thought he was a good guy. And he was, no, they said, I get it. Leave you alone. Then when we lean into what the truth is, when, you said, leave us alone. So I said this a couple of times on different streams, different videos. When women said that they wanted to be left alone, they wanted to go out to the gym, they wanted to go out to the grocery store, they wanted to do their own thing without men coming and intervening and saying something and trying to get their attention, trying to rap to them, trying to talk to them. Okay. The thing is, the men that were probably decent guys, right? The ones not doing anything to you, they took a step back and they said, all right, I got you. Right? Gotcha. I'm going to leave you alone. No problem. I'm with it. 100%. The ones that were never gave a shit about any of that, they were still going to harass you. They were still going to harass you. They were still going to be there. They were still going to talk. They were still going to be up in there. And they never left. They never stopped harassing you. Okay. But the majority, you may realize it's a smaller percentage than you actually believe. The majority of people now are just kind of kicking it back somewhere and letting you rock, letting you enjoy yourself. Now you turn around and say, we're the men. We did a dating event. We're the men. Men aren't approaching us in bars. They're not giving the seats. They're not paying for our drinks. This is you struck the semi-permeable membrane and it's bouncing back. It said, no, just leave you alone. In the process of being left alone or of leaving you alone, a lot of men end up saying, well, what else is there to do? And they started to find their purpose outside of women, and they said they found peace. So the older men passed it on to the younger generation. Then they started looking and saying, yeah, what is this equation doesn't make any sense. So now you have young men saying, why does it make sense? I'm supposed to basically work all my life to help you who can get to do whatever you want, then backtrack. No, they're looking and say, no, this is how we end up in this very transactional sort of situation where nothing's making much sense.
I don't know. It's just like, if you truly morally actually felt a way about that, it wouldn't matter who. It wouldn't matter if my mom, it wouldn't matter.
To this day, I won't be alone with the women at work with my phone recordings. Listen, this is all right, man. Have a good one, Nick. Yeah, this is who's doing this? Who's the former vice president? He had that same thing. A couple of CEOs had that same sort of policy, and more to the point, other CEOs started doing it. They said not just CEOs, project managers, supervisors, and people that in corporate would usually end up mentoring mentees one-on-one. They pulled back and said, nah, it's not worth the risk, because when we ended up in a sort of situation in which we simply believed all accusations, and in the belief of the accusation, it was easy to get you out of pocket. We're now going to investigate you and see what's actually happening here. Well, we see where that went. We see what that caused. We see what happened. People said, no, it's an uphill. You end up in this uphill battle trying to prove your innocence, trying to prove that what you said was true. Well, what was said against you wasn't true. And it didn't matter the nature of the accusation, just that one was levied. Just like whenever the newspaper prints something on the front page and they're wrong, right? The retraction is always on like page 11, right? In super small print, behind some other fluff. You never really get to see when people say, yeah, I was wrong on that, man. Yeah. This is absolutely common. What you doing here? That's a smart play.
God said something. If you truly felt that way, your behavior wouldn't change. If your behavior changes based on societal circumstances, then I don't think that's like a true traditional core.
Exactly the case. When you've got to now try to run behind it, show your proof, right? The burden of proof is on you, the accused. That's not how our criminal justice system is set up. If you make the accusation, you said I did these things, you have to prove it. But in an effort to protect women in this patriarchal society, right? In this effort to protect women, we end up saying, I don't need the proof. I'd much rather get you up out of here than worry about now, and making you whole on the back end. We don't even do that. It's the same thing you see also in family court. You say the most heinous thing to get the most immediate reaction. Oh, he touched the kids. Boom. In an effort, because we all understand you got to protect the kids. We got to get you up out of there. It doesn't matter that you did or you didn't do it. It doesn't matter that you have proof. That doesn't matter. Just the accusation alone, because again, we go and find the most heinous thing, and we hit you with that. Because that's going to get you the immediacy of the reaction. I want him out the house. I don't care that he pays bills. I don't care that's in his name. We got kids here. It's unsafe. He did this. All right, man, you're gone. Call the police. He hit me. They come there. They're not saying you got bruises. No, they're like, yo, come with us. Doesn't matter. She turns around and no, you got to come with us. No, I've never done anything no, I don't have any marks on me. No, you got to come with us. And then we make it seem it's so simple to fix that. It's you lose your job, you get arrested, you have a record, you miss days at work, you miss days at work, and maybe they're unexplained, unaccounted for, or you have a job with sensitive security. Now they look and say you've got an arrest record. You're out of pocket, right? You're out of pocket. And what happens if after the fact we find out she made a lot of that up? She made all that up. No one goes back and says, damn, well, when I fired you erroneously, here's your back pay. Here you get back. Let me give you a raise. Here's a retraction in the newspaper. Here is an apology for all the people that accused you. Here is all the people on social media that tarnish your name and reputation. You get none of that. You just sort of get that stigma and stink that stays with you and said, you remember, Short, I know this, but you know how that goes. He must know. It's a nasty game.
Value.
Hey, I'll hop. I get what you're saying, and I do agree, like, in the sense.
Oh, yeah. That's an important distinction. We do not absolutely hate them all. This is not one of those areas where you paint with a wide brush and we say, yo, all women do this. Not at all. Not at all. I think that's fundamentally the thing that you're going to see a lot of in this broadcast, that when something is wrong, it's all men. It's all of them like this. This is why it becomes hard for men to buy into a lot of stuff they're saying. They won't ever identify their choices in, or what the part they played in a lot of what went wrong in their life. It's always that some man did it. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have done this. And I mean, to me, that's just absolutely infuriating.
You can correct me if I'm wrong, where like, if you think you're a protector, right, and you see something going wrong, like if that's your value, you should protect them, right? Then on the same side of that coin to what they were saying, like you see it all the time on social media, the little TikToks and shit, like a girl drop her purse, drop her wallet, the dude picks it up and he goes to give it to her, she's like, I have a boyfriend. And then it's like, dude, like what the like, I'm just trying to help you. So it's like the media and stuff portrays that a lot. So I'm not saying like, I'm just saying it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like some people could get caught between that because it's like, yo, like I want to help you, but it's like, you know, they've seen so much of the media where it's like, well, if I go to help it, it's going to instantly backfire me. Like that prime example, like trying to give the wallet, I have a boyfriend. It's like, I'm not trying to holler at you. I'm just trying to give you your wallet that you dropped. Like I could have robbed you, ran off with your cash, but I'm trying to do the right thing.
We can talk about it, but first we need to get their first statements and also kind of bring it back to the prompt itself, right? I mean, this is great. It's just, let's get to the prompt and then this will come out from after that, right? So let's get yours and then it's all you guys.
No, I disagree because I think, you know, like kind of like what you were saying, like there's a difference between good and weak. I want a nice guy. I want a good guy, you know, I want that quality, but they have to be able to, they can't just be so passive, you know, they can't just, it's kind of like the idea of like, oh, they're put on a pedestal, but what are you providing? You know, it's like, great, put me on a pedestal, but let me also put you on a pedestal, match my energy. Like, let's put each other on a pedestal and build each other up. But I think, you know, there's a vast majority of women, myself included, that like, you know, good guys want to be treated well, but also want like a man that's going to meet their energy. Like I'm a strong woman. I need someone that's going to match that. So I do like femininity in men. I think that's a wonderful quality, but there needs to be a balance. Just like within me, there needs to be a balance of my femininity and masculine qualities as well too. So it's all about balance and matching energy, I think.
As pertaining to the prompt, I feel like it's just a certain level of attraction because like, I feel like this is just me personally. I don't know if they agree with this, but if I see you and I'm personally attracted to you, you could be the shittiest person in the world or you could be the best person in the world. As long as I have that like attraction to you and you don't it up, then we should be cool. And then I also feel like it's just this certain level of like masculinity. It's the difference between being comfortable in your masculinity and feeling like very toxic in it to where you feel like you have to be this certain person or be this certain thing or women are going to look at you as you're weak or this, that, and the third. Like honestly, like me personally, I do want a masculine man. I want a man to sit there. I want to be led. As a woman, I feel like my job as a woman is to be led, not to be controlled. But if you telling me I'm doing this for your good, I'm gonna at least take a step back and be like, okay, is he doing this for my good? Does he even have the qualities to lead me? Is he even able to be put in that position? So when we talk about all these nice guys, it's like you said, the difference between nice and weak. It's like, are you just doing this as a tactic of control? Or are you doing this because you really want to see me shine? You really want to see me grind?
There's something I want to see what you guys thought of because Based on like my understanding of looking into it, it comes down to like presentable value. So like if he's in a relationship with you and he's like putting you all the time, number one, I love you, beautiful, all this all the time, not really anything about him. They say that would be him projecting that he has no value. Like you have all the value. No offense, I'm not saying you actually, but you know what I'm saying? So it's like, in men or women, they both walk away from people that provide too much of that validation. And I also read it's because people think that we want love, but what we really want is reward. So like it would hit a lot harder, like a slot machine. If you lose every time, then you win. You feel really good. If that person's terrible to you most of the time or not available most of the time, but then they are, it hits so much harder. And that's what we're really looking for. At least unhealed and immature people, which is a lot of the population regardless of the age. What do you guys think about that?
I agree with that.
I agree.
Kind of build off what you just said. Sorry. Go ahead. Okay. You just said something really interesting. You said people want a reward. Well, usually reward always comes after challenge. So I think what really people want is they always want a challenge, but not an impossible challenge, but one that they know they can overcome. So I think a good partner does that. They challenge you. They challenge you to get better about your mental and physical health. They challenge you to get
Yeah, you know what? You're right. I just noticed that. I think they have two black women, and one of them sounds very masculine. So I think that might suffice.
better about, you know, building a family. They want you to challenge you about getting better about building wealth, building something together that you can pass on to your kids. So I think that's really what people want. And so like kind of going back to what we were talking about, putting somebody on a pedestal. When you put her on a pedestal, like you said, it doesn't challenge you at all. So that's why you get bored. Like look at people who don't have any challenges in their life. You know, kids that, you know, the trust fund kids that grow up but have everything handed to them. They end up just going through life doing nothing productive.
A woman's body count matters more than a man's. We'll start by bringing up everyone that agrees now. I'm going to start with you.
This is
Damn, 3 women just stood up. It kept standing. I think this is a one. Obviously, you'll never know, right? If you'll never know the actual answer to that body count, question, right? You can't verify it in any sort of way. People want to judge who's in the nice guy and provide it. Exactly, and I think this is erroneous thinking. Right? I don't necessarily want a challenge in my relationship. I don't want her to be difficult. Do I have the expectation that she should be pushing me? She should be inspiring me. That's not really a challenge, but it's probably more effective than just making it seem as if we're going to go band for band. It's ridiculous. This is another one of those things I think people heard and thought about, but don't really have enough of the real world experience to say that's not really what I want. Yeah, but in terms of body count, man, you'll never know. You'll never know, ever. They're probably indicators that you can look for in terms of how someone carries themselves and their level. But again, all these are the barest of hints. These are barest of hints. If you look at what's it? India Love, now talking all the gospel. Look how quickly you go through, right? You age out of being a 3 or 4. You age out of being a whore, and then you go to find church. If you took a snapshot, a Brittany Renner, right? You just took a snapshot of her when she was, doing her Islam sort of grift. You would think, right? You would think, oh no, she's good. This is a great woman. You would think, oh wow, a guy would be lucky. When you look at the entire context, you're like, oh, this is very different. In this case, yeah, you would say, if you look at it on a trend, if you look at it and you think people are very static, right? If you're new to the channel, subscribe, hit that like button. Make sure they feel like being Mac too. But if you just came and you took a snapshot and you looked at these people's lives, you would assume that it's pious. You would assume that it's great. If we hold and we think that people are not, if we think people are static and think that what happened in your past will always determine what happens in the future, then the count would matter, right? Then it would matter. But people are far more nuanced than that. You can have experiences in your past that you kind of learn and said, oh, shit, I shouldn't be doing this. I shouldn't be moving like this. I'm going to turn my life around. And there's people that do that and stick to it. How do you account for that? I know there were studies, there were articles posting that your level of promiscuity makes it harder for you or increases your likelihood of having a divorce if you end up being married. But in instances like this, when we could look at the if we just use hyperbole, would you want to get married to like Riley Reid or someone, the girl next door, who maybe didn't look as good, but never had this sort of experiences as like Riley Reid? I think when you look at it, in that sort of function, you kind of see what it makes sense.
Not to disregard the fact that men can be sluts. That's not what I'm trying to say. But honestly, when I think about it, women mature a lot faster. Women really know what they're doing. And I don't mean to shame or anything like that, but I feel like it gets to a point. But personally, I feel like when it comes to like sexual relationships and sexual intimacy, that's supposed to be with somebody that you truly feel.
And was that just me or it went out for everyone? Let me test that. One sec. Yeah. Well, that suddenly went out. That sucks. But yeah, I think I think that froze. Let me see if I can reset the stream on this end. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I don't know why the sound cut out. But look, so we can just still discuss it on our own. So what you're saying about body count, I completely think you'll never know, right? And one of the things they go on to talk about is the difference between men and women in terms of just that body count. If you, as a man, and they ended up talking about like, was it like a slot maker versus a slot, like a key that can fit into multiple locks versus a lock that opens to any key. They try to use that as sort of the distinction of saying which is which. But again, you'll never know. One of the better questions from that was saying, in that same context, can a man be a slut? Can a man, if he engages in that behavior, what is he? Like, let me try this. Let me see if you can actually hear. Damn! Yeah. I don't know why the audio on that one cut out. But if you are in the chat, I just reset it to see if you can actually. Yeah, don't ask, don't tell. Yeah, we tried that, right, with the military some time ago. Yeah. I think it's difficult to have that conversation when you're not trying to be open and real with these women. When you say something like, you're trying to make it seem like, yo, it doesn't really matter. No, it matters to men. And that's where it starts, right? If it matters to the men that are of your generation, of that you're choosing from, if they say this is not what I want, then it matters. One of the women, she says that she had a promiscuous past and she kind of turned her life around. She was abused when she was young. So this is one of the reasons and excuses why what she's doing is fine, or what she did in the past. Another woman said she talked about taking back her power. And this was something that I wanted to really focus on. When we talk about it in that context, that it's always in the form of some sexual sort of, in proclivity. I'm taking back my power. And then she also said, even though who are you to tell me that's not a healthy thing to do, even though it's not healthy? We're society, babes, right? we're the ones that you end up interacting with. We're the ones that you end up dealing with that tell you that no, this type of behavior tends to lead towards these type of outcomes, and these type of outcomes are terrible for you. It's not where you want to be. It's not where you find yourself. And if you engage in that, that's technically where things tend to go for you. It's not an absolute. It's not an absolute, but in a world where you don't get absolutes, trends are fine. Right? you have a higher likelihood of doing this. You've been to prison. You have a higher likelihood of returning to prison. Right? That's fine. Doesn't mean that you guaranteed will. But if we were betting men, and according to the data, we are, then we could lean that way. If you're thinking that I'm going to regain my power by sleeping with a bunch of men, okay. This is the other part of it. Men are not going to sit there and try to stop you. If you want to give yourself to a bunch of men because you've been hurt by a man, and there's always going to be a plethora of men and saying, "Oh, I'll do my part to help you reclaim your power." It's the same thing as you just lashing out with some sort of other, traumatic sort of behavior. Just this one feels good, and because people tell you shouldn't do it, you decide to do it. Cool. The issue is now as you get older, and now when men are saying, "Hey, this conversation is coming up," and your reaction to the question, it usually tells men enough. Why does that matter? That's not important. He's asking because it's important to him. You're asking what his salary is. That's important to you. Men can be just as offended by that. But the other part of the conversation that we're bringing up is women were saying, well, we don't want men that are ran through either. And then we're like, yo, but you do. As long as you can be run through as a man, as long as your status is the equivalent. If you ran through just because you paid for it, then women are not going to look at that. But when they say, and how do we know? You look at just anecdotally, you look at Future, you look at Nick Cannon, you look at see how often they end up fawning, how often they're running to be, say, Cam Newton's, I don't know how many years, right? But they have no problem being the next in a long succession of women because he has status as well. This thing helps you secure. So if you had the ability to do that, you had the resources to do that, to give this woman some sort of security, yeah, you could wouldn't matter your body count. It's just that there is no such mechanism on a woman's, Chris, right. The way they line up and pay their rent money to take a picture with him, that needs to be studied. That's concerning. But when you have the status and then they can benefit from the status, then your sexual history doesn't really seem to matter. But on the male side, there's no such thing. There's no such avenue available for men to look and say, this is a good thing for me. You being with a bunch of men, okay, great. Now there's just no mechanism for that. We can just simply attach it to one of those double standards. You have to learn to, grit your teeth and accept this is the way it is. You don't have to like it. This is just the nature of the beast. This is, if like, and if we were able to play, and there's a lot more to go with that. But if you were able to see that, you would see like a lot of it came down to just, I feel this way. I feel like it shouldn't. Me personally, and I hate that. I absolutely hate that saying, me personally. But they said that a lot. They use that one a lot, me personally. He like to use that as justifications, reasoning why it sucks. No, it's just you made these decisions, and because now they're static, now they're volatile, you can't change it. And you're upset that you can't go back and retcon any of that data. It's not Marvel, it's not DC, you can't change the universe at will. Oh yeah. Listen, this is a good question for the chat. Which was worse, the Chris Brown or the Usher? Right? Who was worse? Who was more filthy in their behavior? To me, Chris Brown, but I think Usher just putting on the performance right there on stage and his music is all geared towards that. Don't leave your girl around me. Here you are. You brought it to Vegas. You brought it to Vegas. You served her up. Right? You served that woman up. But look, I got some more content I wanna go push out and create, load up for tomorrow. If you're new, subscribe to the channel, we're gonna be doing the show. We do more like live streams. We do more of this, more impromptu, more regular, this sort of stuff like this. Where it's great to get this interaction with the chat. This is what it's all about, right? Creating this community, and we can actually have. Yeah, no, the Usher Jones are absolutely worse, especially because their age knew no limit, and they were just doing whatever in front of you. This was nasty. This is the nastiest work I've ever seen. And we all looked at it and said, yeah, this is normal. This is okay. No, man, we were, that was awful. That was terrible business. Terrible business. But again, this was, like I said, it was a good experiment to see what we could do in terms of stream to stream. I think this one actually did better. So that was really, really surprising, actually. Oh man, my man, I appreciate that. We were walling for the Usher in front of their partners. Yo, all right, we'll keep it going a little bit more. Keke Palmer, right? Wasn't that the thing that helped break up that relationship, or one of the things that put it in the forefront? One of these things matter, right? These things absolutely matter, and it's one of those scenarios where you get to see the flat out disrespect in front of your face. They're telling you, this is how I value you, right in front of your face. And we got to sit there and you got to hear this. You got to look this to the beat, right? You got to move to the beat. Usher just serenaded your shorty on stage, right? Blair, I appreciate that. Usher just serenaded your shorty, grinding on her, right? His crotch on hers. And you got to sit there and be like, in the crowd, yeah, this is what's up. I'm so happy to be here, right? Inside, dying, knife, twisting, you're hurting. And then even if he's this close to her face, and she used to sing them songs. She used to sing them songs too. And you just like, what are you supposed to do? You're sitting there hurting. Straight up demon time. And I don't want to be like, oh, this is great. This is, no, don't be mad at him. Nah, man, it's awful. This is awful behavior. And we just got to sit there and take it. We just sit there and think, yeah, this was up. Yeah, you don't have to call. He's telling you all this stuff. He's telling you how bad all of this is. And we're all here just like, yeah, man. Good. And I brought her here. I paid the tickets. I flew her in Spirit on Southwest. I'm the one that bring her here, right? Pay for the room. Maybe you might get lucky. But now she's thinking about us. She's not thinking about you. You funded this, right? You funded this whole sort of thing. Oh, shout out to Marissa, kicking that guy out. Thank you for that. A woman's music choice says a lot with them. You know what? Just since Marissa's here and she's done with a book club, the books they read says a lot. I'm gonna have to answer to that one later. But yeah, the books they read says a lot. A lot of smart in those books. But yeah, I think that was terrible. I think I'd rather her go like to a genuine concert and just kind of watch how stiff he is, and come back and say I kind of just want to crochet or something like that. I think that would be more more or less interesting. But yeah, Usher straight awful, straight terrible. Definitely Usher and Chris Brown. There was another video where they had them trailing a line of women following Chris Brown to the after party. No one's ever done that for me, right? No one's ever done that. No, formed the line. Ridiculous, man. And game is cold, right? I wish I was born with the talent to dance like that. I ain't got it. Can't sing like that either. I ain't got it. I just gotta be. I'm out here just like with everyone else. I'm just trying to make it. I'm just trying to live. Can't dance. Can't pop a locket. Right. Can't stomp the yard. Can't do none of that. Can't do the little elbow thing he did. Can't do that either. So yeah. So no one's saying I'm not going to pay my rent. I'm not going to pay my rent. I'm just going to go. I'm going to check out Easy's live stream. I'm going to donate my entire rent to that. That's not what's happening. Right? It's a cold game. It's a cold world. Need a bacon. Yo, these men are straight demons. Straight demons. And we just sit there like, damn. And you can't straight out call that out. I was with my boys, I think it was like a Thanksgiving or like a 4th of July, or Juneteenth barbecue, something like that. And we were trying to bring it up. We were trying to talk ish about Usher. They wouldn't hear it. Women would not hear it. They're like, I was like, y'all full on mothers, wives, kids, grandkids. Can't talk ish about Usher. Can't try to exorcise that demon from them. I'm telling you, it's in their books. It's in the books they're reading, right? It's in the books they're reading. Don't be fooled. Don't be fooled by the nonsense. But again, I'm trying to debate. Might do a stream tomorrow. Definitely should do like another stream like this, but we might do an actual show. If you guys are available, it's going to be 7:00 Central Time tomorrow. You guys can see that. That one's a bigger production. Lights, cameras, segments, music. It's a good time. We usually end up laughing a lot in those. And if you were here, I'd love to see you in that one as well. Last time it did not end properly, so let me see if I can get this right here. No, it doesn't cut. Doesn't cut over. Anyway, with that being said, hopefully I'll see some of you guys actually tomorrow. If my regulars, I'm definitely looking to see you guys there.